The chief city of western Kenya, Kisumu, is situated on the equator, 350 kilometers west of Nairobi. It's the third largest city after Nairobi and Mombasa. It sits on one of Africa's biggest freshwater lakes, Victoria. It's an important port and serves as a base for shipbuilding and ship repair facilities. The city serves as the transportation and commercial hub for the 4 million people in the surrounding area. The majority of the people in this city are Luos, and their main activity is fishing. Hot and humid, this sprawling city contains a lively market, an airport and a rail station. Kisumu city not only links the three East African countries of Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, but it is also a commercial center and a tourist destination with a beehive of activity. The community began its modern development on December 20th, 1901, when the completion of a railroad stretching from the Indian Ocean to the shores of Lake Victoria and to Uganda linked it with the port of Mombasa. When the railway reached the Winam or Kavirondo Gulf in 1902, the terminus was named Port Florence, after the wife of one of the engineers. When later it developed into a town, it became known as Kisumu. Kisumu benefited from Kenya's membership in the East African Community involving neighboring countries of Uganda and Tanzania that allowed the nations to move goods, services and people across common borders in a mutually beneficial manner. Apart from being an administrative and trading center, Kisumu was the starting point for round trips on board the steamer Lake Victoria, a large and very comfortable vessel which touched at all important lake ports such as Musoma, Mwanza, Bukoba in Tanzania, and Port Bell, the harbor of Kampala in Uganda. These lake trips have been reduced with short trips on the Kenya and Tanzanian sides of the lake. Apart from the social, cultural and economic activities, the people of Kisumu are a religious community, praying both in the indigenous African religion as well as modern-day independent denominations, Christianity, Islam and Hinduism. The Catholic faithful are the majority in Kisumu, with a population of over 500,000 practicing Catholics. The Archdiocese comprises the two districts of Kisumu and Siaya. In the heart of this beautiful city of Kisumu is the St. Teresa's Cathedral, the chair and authority symbol of the bishop of the area. The Catholic faith reached Kisumu in 1903 through the Mill Hill missionaries who arrived in a caravan from Mombasa. Kisumu was then part of the Vicariate Apostolic of the Upper Nile. In 1925, Kisumu became a separate territory under the name of Prefecture Apostolic Kavirondo. In 1932, it was raised to Vicariate Apostolic of Kisumu and was later raised to Diocese of Kisumu in 1953. On the occasion of the centenary of the Catholic faith in Kenya in 1990, the dioceses of Kisumu, Mombasa and Nyeri were upgraded to archdioceses. Thus, Bishop Okoth became the first Archbishop of Kisumu. The archdiocese has grown in capacity and size, incorporating 9 dioceses, namely Kisumu, Kakamega, Kisii, Kericho, Homa Bay, Bungoma, Eldoret, Kitale and Lodwar as suffragans. Since its creation in 1953, the Catholic Diocese of Kisumu has had 6 bishops: Bishop Bransma, Bishop Nicholas Stam, Bishop Frederick Hall, Bishop John Diripa and Bishop Philip Sulumeti. The incumbent Archbishop of Kisumu is the Most Reverend Zacchaeus Okoth. The year 2003 is very significant and historical to the Catholic Church in Kenya in general and to the faithful of Kisumu in particular because of three very important events. First, 2003 marks the centenary celebrations of the Catholic faith in the diocese. To celebrate the occasion, special pastoral activities such as mass marriages, confirmations, ordinations, religious professions, and many more were presided over by Archbishop Okoth himself. 2003 also marks 100 years of the Mill Hill Missionaries' evangelization work in Kisumu. And finally, 2003 sees the incumbent Archbishop, the Most Reverend Zacchaeus Okoth, celebrating 25 years as Bishop of Kisumu.
Through the eyes of Archbishop Okoth, this video documents the story of the Catholic Archdiocese of Kisumu from 1903 to date. In Archbishop Okoth's own words, the video depicts how the Church has through the years brought joy to not only the people of God in Kisumu, but also to the people of God in Kenya and beyond. It's against this background of tremendous achievements and growth of the Church that we trace the life and times of Archbishop Zacchaeus Okoth, to see and discover the boy, the man, the priest, the bishop, and the archbishop who's been pivotal in most of these changes.
Archbishop Okoth was born on 5th July 1942 in West Nyakach on the hills of Kodianga West. Upon his birth, Okoth was named Zacchaeus after the Asumbi parish catechist Zakayo Okongo, who died around the same time the archbishop was born. Born to Henry Awor Imbo and Christine Orao Awor, who are both still alive, Archbishop Okoth is the firstborn in a family of 6 boys and 6 girls. He was baptized as an infant at Nyabondo Catholic Church.
My father was baptized in 1929 at Asumbi. And my father informed me that before his father died, he baptized him to be a Catholic and baptized him Abraham. So I'm a grandson of Abraham.
Early Christianity was not easy. Like all other people, the parents of Archbishop Okoth had to travel long distances to get to church.
They had to travel to Asumbi, which is over 100 kilometers from home, on foot in those days, sleeping 2-3 days on the way before they get there, to receive catechetical instruction.
With such a difficult background, what really attracted the young Okoth to priesthood?
I was inspired by the life of my parish priest in those days, Reverend Father Leo Bartels from the Netherlands, from a place called Venlo. And he was always interested in the young people to come and serve Mass around the altar. So he chose me to be a Mass server after receiving First Holy Communion. And then in 1953 in the primary school, Father Bios, John Bios, the late John Bios, came around and he was talking about if there's anybody who's interested in becoming a priest like us, he can write his name. So I did it. Why I did it, I really don't know. It was shortly after we received First Holy Communion in 1953. Then from now on, we had to go to the parish every Sunday for Mass. And then I was surprised in 1953 in November, the rector of St. Peter's Seminary, Father Martin Sanders, a Dutch Milhillian, he came to Nyabondo and we were about 20 young people desiring to go to the seminary, but he chose only 6 of us. And I was the youngest, 11 and a half years old.
Since then, and now close to 50 years, Okoth remains steadfast in his vocation and in the Church, rising from a seminarian to deacon, priest, bishop, and now archbishop. When he joined the seminary, Okoth and his colleagues were 22 in number. But as the Bible clearly puts it, many are called, but few are chosen. Only 8 of the 22 made it to priesthood on the 14th of November 1968, Okoth being one of them.
We began 22, but only 8 of us were ordained priests. We were ordained in our respective dioceses. So I was ordained at St. Teresa's Cathedral in Kisumu by now the late Bishop John Deripa.
Archbishop Okoth passionately attributes his success in priesthood to his mentor and formator, the late Father Leo Bartels.
It is him who chose me to go to the seminary. It is him who saw me through as a priest. It is him who guided me here in this parish. As a young lady, he was my mentor, he was my guide, he was my counselor, he was my parish priest, he was my spiritual director and director at home. So this is the person who made me be what I am. And when I became a priest, it was a joy of his life.
Traditionally, and even today, firstborn children are looked upon by the family as those to be depended upon in matters of finance and provide emotional support to the siblings and aging parents. Being a firstborn, it was not easy for Okoth's parents to let him be a priest. While his mother cried, his dad found solace in the Lord.
I saw my mother, she was very happy, but at the same time she was crying.
By then, Okoth was my firstborn and only son. His followers were all girls, so it was painful for me that he was going to the seminary.
I was a catechist of Father Leo Bartels, so I understood that God would bless me if I offered my firstborn son to him. That's why I didn't cry.
After his priesthood ordination, Father Okoth was assigned to Mbaga Parish as an assistant parish priest. He also doubled as education secretary for the diocese. A year later, in 1969, Father Okoth was selected to go to Rome to study theology at the Gregorian University.
After obtaining a licentiate in theology, Father Okoth qualified for a doctoral program and desired to pursue it. However, his dreams were abruptly brought to a halt when, in obedience, he returned to Kenya at the request of the Kenya Episcopal Conference to teach theology at St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary in Nairobi.
I had to sit for an exam to get a bachelor's degree in theology, and I attempted that exam, which they did that year. And from my studies at St. Thomas, I was able to pass that exam, so I qualified for the master's degree or the license degree at the Gregorian University. So I did that, and I followed that course. So by end of 71, I completed the master's degree in theology. And I was heading for the doctorate in theology. But I had to obey my bishop at the request of the other bishops. I had to come back to teach at St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary. So I had to break my doctoral studies. But that was the wish of the church, so I obeyed. At St. Thomas, I was lecturing in theology, but also in philosophy, because I also lectured there in African religious studies, African traditional religion. And so I taught many of them from 72, 73, and mid-74, when I was moved to St. Augustine, Mabanga, to begin the philosophical.
Father Okoth had very humble beginnings and incidences in his priestly vocation that, unaware to him, were preparing him for a greater calling by God. His appointment to St. Augustine Senior Seminary for Philosophy is one such example. Indirectly, all these experiences prepared him to serve God's people as a priest, bishop, and now as archbishop.
I was at the seminary, I was rector, when Bishop Phillips of Meti arrived and called everybody to the refectory, and we didn't know what he was going to say. But of course I had been given a hint from me, I knew from the nuncio of the time, Archbishop Kachavillian, who had already given me a hint that I was going to become Bishop of Kisumu. And so when it was announced in the refectory, the students were very happy. And, but the joy was that we were 3. Monsignor Mann also became the Bishop of Lodwar, and at that time Bishop Nicodemus Kirima was also appointed, and myself, I was the third. So it was a joy for the Kenyan church. We were 3 bishops appointed more or less at the same time. It came as a surprise. I had no intention really that I would be a bishop. I consider myself that time also very young, and I didn't really expect it. It was like a bolt from the blue. I even, when I was being asked, tried to hesitate, and I was told to go to the church and pray. So I prayed. So when I was praying, I asked myself, whom am I to say no to God? So I said, like Mary, I said, let it be done according to your will.
And while the parents hinged their hopes on old age care from their last-born son James, he too decided to become a priest. His brother, Archbishop Zacchaeus Okoth, ordained him. Archbishop Okoth explains that James' decision to become a priest was by God's grace.
When I was in Mabanga in 1974-75, my father and mother came to see me there, and when they came with this young boy. They came with the last born. So they came with James, that was his name. He was just young. I don't think he had gone to primary 3 or 4. He was just still a young person. So my mother walked with him as a young person. Then the first class, Bishop Linus was in that first class of students I had in Mabanga. So he said, you know, being the person who could speak the Luo to the young boy, you know, I think casually the students asked the boy, what would he like to be? And then he said, oh, I'd like to be like my brother.
When James went, I said, just go and serve God. He will bless you.
When I presented my last-born son for ordination, I said in a loud voice, I give you to the Lord.
Archbishop Okoth was consecrated the 6th Bishop of Kisumu on 30th April 1978. Upon his appointment 25 years ago, the young Bishop Okoth took as his guiding motto, bringing joy to the people.
When I was ordained on the 30th of April 1978 at Kisumu Stadium, I saw the tremendous joy of the people, and I said, that's what the Pope was telling me to do, that's what I must continue with. That is why before I left that field, I declared Madian to be a parish.
Charged with that approach and full of energy and zeal to fulfill his motto of bringing joy to all, Archbishop Okoth embarked on designing pastoral strategies aimed at bringing joy to various groups of people. The Archbishop sought to bring joy to the people by establishing more parishes. By that, he was bringing Christ closer to the people. Practically every parish he got, he gave it another parish. There were 14 parishes when he took over, and today there are 28 parishes in the Archdiocese.
More parishes meant more priests to pastor them. The Archbishop therefore decided to promote the vocation to priesthood. He hence started building a minor seminary to nurture vocations. The now 20-year-old seminary is dedicated to the Archangel Gabriel.
Thank you very much, and we are happy that His grace is with us today.
I became a bishop when I was rector of St. Augustine Senior Seminary in Mabanga. And because of my background of teaching in St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary for another 4 or 5 years there. Because of my background from being a student at St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary for 6 years, and because of my still other background of being in St. Peter's Seminary for 9 years. So when I became bishop, my first priority and foremost was to have another seminary here in Kisumu, because I didn't find one. And hence I started this seminary in 1980 building, and in 1982 we started out with Form 1. And I decided to name it after St. Gabriel the Archangel, because he is the one who came to break the good news in this world, telling us there's going to be a word of God to come. He's going to be born in this world. He's just not only the Son of God, but he's our Savior. He's our priest, our high priest. That's why I thought there was no better name to name the seminary after St. Gabriel.
St. Gabriel's Minor Seminary has produced many priests for the diocese, other dioceses, as well as religious occasions.
Bringing joy to the people means also bringing new ministers, new priests to evangelize our people.
After many years of working from a parish, in 1988, the Archbishop acquired a new pastoral office called Sifa House, from where the diverse pastoral activities of the Archdiocese are coordinated. To the suffering church in Kisumu, the Archdiocese set up St. Monica Hospital to provide quality but affordable medical attention at subsidized prices.
We also have areas in which we must respond to the suffering church. So I saw it necessary that in the city now of Kisumu, it was necessary to have St. Monica's Hospital to care for the sick among us. And maybe it was providential that when that hospital started, this new unfortunate disease called HIV/AIDS came round. So it's now helping.
The matron sister Philomena Mutuku acknowledges the support St. Monica receives from the Archdiocese.
The Archdiocese has actually been giving us all the support we need. They have been helping us during the difficult times, financial support. They are also helping us to support the clients who cannot be able to pay for the hospital bills.
The service is good, medicine is not expensive like in a private hospitals, and also it is near our place.
His Grace has a soft spot for the marginalized and has been on the forefront of taking care of various groups of people needing special attention. One such care is found in Nyabondo Rehabilitation Center for the Disabled. Dedicated to St. Martin de Porres, this center was established by the diocese in 1963. Every year, the center strives to correct various physical disabilities and deformities to over 200 disabled children from all over Kenya. The institution also provides medical support for the children, as well as organizes for their formal primary and secondary education.
George Onyina. I'm the physiotherapist in charge. I work with two physiotherapy assistants, Regina and Eunice. Patrick is our nurse in charge. So this is the place where we do the examination.
We get many children from different parts of the country, and the work is very heavy, because at times we get children who are crawling. Some are burns, and it has taken maybe time to let them come out of it. So we do counseling, the parents and the children, and after that they are done surgeries. And the work is really challenging for themselves. They don't accept why they are born like that, and others are born normally, they can do most of the things by themselves. So you get some who are depressed, and it is hard even to understand God. So when I see them walk, I'm so happy. And I see that the hand of God, God is still healing his people through us.
The center has its own workshop that makes free artificial limbs, shoes and wheelchairs for the children whose deformities have been corrected at the center. This makes life more bearable for the children. The vocational training facilities here equip the youth with self and professional employment skills that will enable them to earn a living in the future. The countless success stories of people who have passed through this center demonstrate that it's possible to transform disability into ability. One such example is this lady who makes very beautiful table mats, seasonal cards and baskets from dry banana fibers. This is her source of income and livelihood.
The need to have a central place where people could learn, share and communicate together saw the birth of Ukweli Pastoral and Development Center. The center trains the young and adults on varied areas and conducts workshops on diverse issues like justice and peace, development, HIV/AIDS awareness and marriage encounter. Occasionally, the center offers retreats and seminars for priests, religious men and women.
The Archbishop also saw it necessary to bring joy to the youth. Therefore, the Archdiocese has created job opportunities for the youth by establishing various fish ponds where fish are grown, and after a few months the mature fish are harvested and sold to villagers and also in the nearby Kisumu city market.
The idea of beginning these fish ponds was for Sigomre children, especially those from our Catholic-sponsored primary school here, so that the children there would come here to learn how to grow fish from the pond. Many of us know that fish must come from Lake Victoria, from the big lake, and then we eat. But we have taught the children around here and the youth around here so that they may appreciate the value of having fish pond in their own home area. Luckily, we have a natural spring here, which is very good for the fish to grow until harvest time.
The natural spring is not only a source of water to the fish ponds, but has also been rehabilitated by the Archdiocese and is widely used for domestic purposes, agriculture and dairy farming.
South Sakwa water project is a real blessing to the people around. Whereas a greater part of the archdiocese suffers from immense floods annually, some parts experience excess and prolonged perennial drought. In 1978, this area received less than 10 millimeters of rain. It is this situation that touched the Archbishop's heart and pushed him to find alternative means of providing clean water for his flock. With the support of experts, engineers, donors and partners, the Archdiocese sourced water from Lake Victoria to provide clean water for use. From Lake Victoria, the water is pumped by use of this motor to 4 big reservoirs. The water is then passed into a series of water filtering vessels for treatment in order to make it fit for human use. After this treatment process, the water is then pumped up to Got Abiero Hill, 3 kilometers away from the lake, and stored into 3 big tanks. From the hill, the water is pumped to various destinations.
In different areas where the water is pumped, the Archdiocese has established water collection points from where it distributes now clean water to the people at a minimum fee of 2 shillings per jerrycan.
We have a water kiosk at Nango, the center below us there. And the second water kiosk is at Nyangoma, down below there. So now the water is being used, it's being utilized, people are getting clean water, they are drawing it even with donkeys and even by hand and even on foot.
One of the major beneficiaries of this water project is Nyangoma Catholic Mission Complex that houses more than 2,000 students and staff. Nyangoma Complex has the church, primary school, technical school for the deaf, and a children's home.
We have 45 children. Since 1966, the children who have left here are almost 600 and over.
Rangala Orphanage was established in 1939 by the Franciscan missionary sisters from Europe who worked here until 1987 when they handed over the project to the Franciscan Sisters of St. Joseph. The home takes in and cares for orphaned babies aged between 1 day and 6 months old. The babies are mainly from Western and Nyanza provinces.
There have been about 1,190 children who have passed through here, who have been cared. Some of them may die, but the majority have gone home. And I feel that that's really a success for the work or for the service we have done. Otherwise, majority could have passed away. But they are up, some of them are in schools, some of them are working, few of them that we know.
The Archbishop provides moral and spiritual support to the orphanage by visiting and encouraging both the orphans and the sisters working there.
So I think it is important to see this home as one that we can say challenges the hearts and minds of Kenyans, since now we have very many orphans, even children with HIV we do admit here when they're in the young stage. The God of Father,
the first Bishop of Kisumu, Bishop Bransma, was a great educationist. He untiringly urged the government of the day to allow the church to be part and parcel of the initiators of quality but affordable primary and secondary education. As a result, the Archdiocese of Kisumu has many Catholic-sponsored schools. Archbishop Okoth, like all his other predecessors, has continued to support the notion of quality and affordable education. Currently, The Archdiocese runs many primary and secondary schools that compete at par with other provincial and national schools. One such school is the prestigious St. Mary's School, Yala, where the remains of the late Bishop Bransma lie.
The contribution that Bishop Bransma gave us, my dear students, is why I have come here. So at that time he was the first Catholic missionary who went to approach the British to have a school established in Western Kenya, and that place was nowhere else but St. Mary's, Yala.
Occasionally, the Archbishop moves around the various Catholic-sponsored schools, encouraging the pupils, students, and teachers. Ojola Parish is a home to a couple of both primary and secondary Catholic-sponsored schools. One of the girls' schools, run by the Sisters of Mary, is named after Archbishop Okoth himself and has the best performance at national examinations. Next to it is a boys' boarding primary school, St. Alois, also run by the Sisters of Mary.
You are performing well. And last year I was so happy that you beat municipal schools. You beat the city schools.
Kolpin Projects is another initiative of the Archbishop which has brought joy to many people. Knowing about Kolpin and its activities was by sheer coincidence when Father Okoth was traveling through Germany. Kolpin was a shoemaker who decided to become a Catholic priest. Father Kolpin asked his bishop to allow him round up unemployed youth so that he would help them to find jobs by offering them technical training or support them to begin income-generating projects. Knowing the reality of many jobless Kenyans, Father Okoth desired to have such a project in Kenya. This dream came true years later when Father Okoth was appointed the Bishop of Kisumu.
By God's providence, I began Kolpin in the diocese, and I thought it was wise to give it a national outlook. So in 1984, a male health brother, Brother Anthony, who was with me in the diocese, I seconded him here to begin Kolpin the Archdiocese of Nairobi, after a consultation with His Eminence Maurice Cardinal Otunga. So we both agreed, and Cardinal Otunga and myself, since that time, have been the trustees of Kolpin Society of Kenya. So we have seen Kolpin take its root, become legalized, get a constitution, registered by the Kenya government. So we have a legal standing in this country. Now with that, I began to propagate Kolpin among the bishops in the bishops' conference so that Kolpin work can spread in the other dioceses.
The saying, experience is the best teacher, has been true for Archbishop Okoth. The tragic road accident of one of his priests, Father Andrew Kasera, pushed the Archbishop to bring even more joy to his priests. He began building the clergy house in Nairobi. The house, equipped with a chapel, kitchen, laundry and spacious rooms, is dedicated to St. Teresa of the Child Jesus, the patroness saint of the Archdiocese of Kisumu.
So when we have business in the city, meetings in the city, when we have sick people to visit at the hospitals here in the city, when we have our priests studying at a Catholic university, when we have our priests who are teaching at the Catholic University, or when we have our visitors from overseas, we can meet them and they can rest here before coming to Kisumu, which is quite a long journey. So this will be a house for the needs of our people from Kisumu Archdiocese.
Reverend Dr. Marcellus Kawasonga, a priest from the Archdiocese of Kisumu and the head of Education Department at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, expresses his sentiments on the St. Teresa Clergy House.
It would be of great value because we pay quite heavily for being here. So if it can also be done here at the same time, we can take care of it. That is for me as a lecturer from Archdiocese. And also we have students from the Archdiocese of Kisumu who are also resident students here. At the moment, the problem Choir has is accommodation. And if some can be accommodated outside, as even other congregation of sisters do, it would really be a relief both to the diocese and even to the university as such.
Every 5 years, each conference of bishops make an ad limina visit to Rome. During such a visit, the bishops see the Pope as a college of bishops, but there is also time allocated for every individual bishop to meet the Pope alone. It was during one of the ad limina visits that a sharing between Archbishop Okoth and the Pope inspired the Archbishop to found a religious congregation of brothers.
I really never thought of being a founder. But when I went back, then I spoke to my consultants, and I told them that the only point I said that, at that time I thought it was just a comment. But after I've been praying, sometimes I see to myself, yeah, maybe there is something in that. Maybe there is something. So it is true, we did not have religious brothers.
The late Bishop Frederick Hall, who confirmed young Okoth at the seminary, had a great devotion to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. The young Okoth too developed the same devotion. So when he founded the Congregation of Brothers, there was no better name than Our Lady of Perpetual Help that he would give to the new Congregation of Brothers.
When they tried me, though they saw my work, Christ the Lord was tempted and suffered for us. Come, let us adore.
With their mother house in Koru, the Brothers of Our Lady of Perpetual Help have steadily grown and today has 10 professed brothers, 3 novices, 6 postulants and many aspirants. The brothers engage in various apostolates. One brother works in the Archbishop's office as an accountant.
When I was elected the chairman or the president of the Kenya Episcopal Conference, I spontaneously, an idea had been growing there of finding how to make the church become more self-supporting and self-sustaining, you know. So in that way, we had talked about it, but I thought, let us put this into practice. So we had a small plot in Westlands there, which used to be used as a staff house. And then that's where I saw the vision to have this plot developed so that we can be able to sustain our offices. So that is how Centenary House came about. I managed to convince the bishops that we buy shares so that the diocese can buy shares, and the little profit we may get, it will sustain the offices, but we will also, the diocese, get a little share every year. So from there also they get some profit every year to run some area of the diocese that requires need. There also I felt I was bringing joy to the conference. That is also the conference as something that can lead them to sustainability. And I'm happy to say that because of the way we organized it, and I got professional people to run that center, it made the conference have still some courage to go for a second one. And that one we did is the Millennium Center, opposite the Catholic University.
The Millennium House, on the other hand, provides appropriate and convenient facilities like bookshops, medical facilities, banks, supermarkets and cafeterias to the students and staff of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, as well as the community around. For over 12 years now, Archbishop Okoth has been not only a member of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa's Council, but also the chairman of its finance committee.
One of the challenges facing Kisumu city is the prevalence of numerous tropical diseases such as malaria, tuberculosis and cancer. As its contribution in bringing up a healthy nation, the Archdiocese is in the process of establishing a medical department of Catholic University of Eastern Africa in Kisumu. The college is called Uzima, meaning life. The hope is that Uzima Medical College will go a long way in providing training, research and eventually a treatment center for the many tropical diseases found in the Great Lakes region.
We need Uzima University College so that we can train these medical doctors for our Catholic medical units and hospitals. Every parish has a population, if you consider it, not less than 20, 30, 50,000 people. So each of those areas we need. Where currently our nuns are going for mobile clinics, 10 kilometers there, 20 kilometers there, and you need a population there. Those people need a doctor.
The upcoming Uzima Medical College will be part and parcel of the already established St. Monica Hospital.
The medical college coming up is meant to be part of the hospital. The hospital is going to act as the clinical experience area where they are going to get experience. As they learn from the class, then they come and see practically with the patients.
Man-made and natural disasters like HIV, AIDS, fires, earthquakes and floods are prone to human life. Every year during the long and short rainy seasons, Kano Plains and some other parts of Nyanza province suffer from severe floods. Homes and schools get submerged in the floods. Waterborne diseases spread very rapidly, while many people die as they try to save their lives, family members and property. For several months, many people are displaced. A greater part of these areas fall within the heart and jurisdiction of the Archdiocese of Kisumu. Through the Caritas organization, Archbishop Okoth has had the possibility of bringing joy to flood victims.
Geraldine received a cross as a sign of the church does not only have the spiritual hand to bring the spiritual life to the people. That spirituality also must come through another hand of bringing them the social needs that they have. When people have got floods like it was in Mozambique, even we here in the Kenya Pastoral Conference, we had to contribute money for the flood victims. We get flood victims in my diocese, even now we are having flood victims in the Kano Plains. We have to give maize and beans and whatnot, and blankets and nets, you know, to the families with young children.
Caritas is a Latin word which means love. Founded by the Vatican many years ago, Caritas Internationalis has an objective of spreading to all humanity the social gospel values. Since 1979, Archbishop Okoth has been the chairman of the Committee of Caritas at the regional Amesea level.
It was during Archbishop Okoth's tenure as chairman of the conference that the bishops came up with the highest number of pastoral letters. The issues and concerns raised in the pastoral letters ranged from ethnic clashes, development, justice and peace, and on the road to democracy.
Government is a fruit, especially of the Episcopal Conference. Pastoral letters that, even at my period, we wrote 13, 14 of them. On the road to democracy, the change of heart. You know?
Archbishop Okoth's Silver Jubilee in 2003 coincided with the centenary of the Mill Hill Missionaries as well as the centenary celebration of the Christian faith in Kisumu.
In 1903, the first Mill Hill missionaries arrived in Kisumu, having trekked from the port of Mombasa. This journey of faith marked the planting and eventual growth of the Christian faith in Western Kenya. March 2003 marked 100 years since the first Mill Hill missionaries arrived in Kisumu, bringing with them the good news of Jesus Christ.
I am grateful
is a great event in the life of everyone of us here present. Thanks be to God for this gift of grace. Thanks be to God for His presence among us. Thanks be to God for the life of the gospel. We have here new generations of missionaries ready to receive the call of the Lord, come and follow me, and then ready to go into the whole world to proclaim the good news to every creature. So this celebration of the centenary of the living presence in Kisumu is not a farewell, and it is not a celebration of the past.
And so, Father, we bring you these gifts. We ask you to make them holy by the power of your Spirit.
Apart from the beautiful liturgical celebration, the Mill Hill missionaries also built taps and opened them on this day to commemorate the implantation and spread of the Christian faith in Kisumu. The Apostolic Nuncio to Kenya, His Excellency Giovanni Tonucci, and the bishops of Kenya were present at the function, which was held at St. Teresa's Cathedral. 25 years ago, His Grace Zacchaeus Okoth entered Kisumu in a magnificent pomp and colour to an event waited keenly by the people to be ordained and installed the 6th Bishop of Kisumu. On 10th May 2003, the renaissance of the day is witnessed, but this time to celebrate the silver jubilee of his episcopal ordination.
Joined by bishops, priests, religious men and women from various dioceses in Kenya, the whole Archdiocese was here to thank God for the gift of their Good Shepherd and for the work he has done well in the last quarter of a century. One could only say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Come, let us rejoice and be glad. It has been a long journey, patiently traveled with a lot of achievement.
On behalf of the entire Diocese of Kisumu, and indeed on my own behalf, I hereby extend a word of welcome to all of you who have come to join us in celebrating God's goodness to us.
By the grace of God, received a mitre, symbol of the dignity of His Holiness. He received a staff too, symbol of his being a shepherd of God's people. He received a ring, symbol of fidelity. What a joyous occasion that was. Ene moja wacho ni lwedo to kawuono pani en tanwa wacho ne ni lwedo. Thank you. Congratulations. We praise God for you and for this Archdiocese now and forever.
Both the young and old were here to celebrate with the Archbishop on this auspicious occasion. The liturgy was a colour of its own beauty and rich in diversity. It was a memorable moment never to be forgotten, a time to give thanks and to look ahead with great hope.
It was a delightful moment for his mom and dad to share in the joy of this day, a Thanksgiving ceremony. There were also other immediate family members who were equally delighted. Publicly, he declared that the deacon from Madiani parish would be ordained priest in Madiani. All was not going to stop on this day. It was the beginning of a new dawn for the Archdiocese of Kisumu, and especially in carrying out deeper evangelization among her people. The blessing of a foundation stone for a new catechetical center dedicated to St. Charles Borromeo advanced the vision of a spiritual growth of the entire diocese in wisdom and joy.
Today I welcome you to this city of Kisumu, in the Archdiocese, for this triple celebration. The Archdiocesan Centenary, 100 years of faith, the Middle Fathers Centenary, 100 years of missionary evangelization, and my Episcopal Silver Jubilee. Indeed, we have to once again pay tribute to our founders, the Middle Fathers, who in God's plan and providence started the work of missionary evangelization.
The Archbishop received congratulatory messages from Pope John Paul II, the Prefect of the Congregation of Peoples, His Eminence Cardinal Sepe, and the Apostolic Nuncio to Kenya, His Excellency Giovanni Tonucci.
Huko mahali tunatoka tukisema pongezi, tutasema ile mbura. Tutasema nini? Mbura. Mnaijua? Mbura 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 meme. Asante Mungu kutupatia askofu kijana ambaye sasa amekaa miaka 25. Asante Mungu. Asante. Mbura 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 erukamano erukamano erukamano.
Luak Catering School, a project of the Archdiocese of Kisumu, made him a very special and beautiful cake denoting all the symbols and colors that enrobes an archbishop. He was all joy at celebrating 25 years of dedicated service to the people of Kisumu. The local musician Jack Nyadundo was also here to entertain with some of his best jigs.
This celebration is a celebration of God's land that I saw the vision of bringing. That joy is nothing else but God's love being shared. This 25 years has been a year of bringing joy to the people. But in this joy does not mean that it has all been laughing. No, it has been crosses. There have been sorrows, and there have been challenges.
But Archbishop Okoth overcame all these challenges because of his determination, faith, involving his priests and God's grace.
After the ordination, what I did, I called a meeting of all the clergy and the religious and some lay people who are leaders in the parishes. I remember we met at the head of parish. There was a pastoral center there. And we created a vision for the diocese. And it was kind of a tree. They thought of a sycamore tree of Zacchaeus in the Bible, in which from every branch all the fruits had to come. And all our development, all our pastoral programs.
The same God's grace is still pushing him to have even bigger dreams for the Archdiocese.
I think the time has come that we need a Catholic media presence in Kisumu, because the population is there and looking for it.
The greatest moment of joy in the Archbishop's life is when he is ministering to the Christians.
I mean, what makes me really happy is the faith of the people. As I go to the parishes to give the sacrament of confirmation, I see the enthusiasm of the people, the faith of the people. And I see the strength of their belief.
The Archbishop's pastoral activities are as diverse as his projects. He proclaims Christ while both on land and water, bringing Christ to the fishermen along Lake Victoria.
This is part of our evangelization boat. Like St. Peter, like Christ entered the boat, I also entered this boat to evangelize the people. So that is why I'm now here at the lake, not the Lake of Gennesaret, but this is the Lake Victoria. So the Archdiocese contributes the boat, we made it, bought the engine, and we offered to the people, and they ferry the people across, and they get some livelihood out of it.
Often he preaches to the people buying and selling goods in Kibuye market, to students in the numerous schools, to priests in administering the sacrament of ordination, to religious men and women in presiding over their professions, and inside the parishes while administering sacraments of marriage and confirmation.
It delights the Archbishop that for the years he was a formator at St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary in Nairobi and St. Augustine Senior Seminary for Philosophy in Mabanga, the Church had an enormous harvest of vocations. Now in ministry are numerous 9 bishops, all whom he formed. The bishops are
Linus Okoth, Alfred Rotich, Cornelius Korir, Martin Kivuva, Anthony Ireri, David Kamau, Boniface Lele, Peter Kehara, and Philip Anyolo.
Indeed, through the grace of God, for the last 25 years as Bishop of Kisumu, Archbishop Zacchaeus Okoth has been striving to bring joy to people of all walks of life. The driving force behind all his success was his mentor and formator, the late Father Leo Bartels. As the clock ticks away, the Archbishop is content with what God has done for him and what he has managed to do for God's people through various pastoral approaches and initiation of different projects.